Hello there! Today I want to share the promised way to my work, so the whole way to my work on my Surly Bridge Club with you. As you can see, I picked a day with very nice weather in the days before Christmas to do this little tour because, as I mentioned in my video before, I think the gray and cold weather sucks, so I wanted to pick a day with some sunlight, and I think that makes a big difference. Like, the weather with a bit of sunlight is so much different from the gray weather and made me way more motivated to really go to TUM with my Surly Bridge Club all the way. So here I'm going down the Nockerberg in Obergiesing and Giesing, where we can really put some speed on while going down. And then I'm going all the way to Reichenbachbrücke, which connects Heidhausen with, or Auheidhausen with the Glockenbach district. So here you can see the Reichenbachbrücke now. And to the right there is the German Museum of Munich with a lot of technical and natural sciences exhibitions. It's so huge. I went there once and I was overwhelmed after something like 3 hours and decided I have to come back another day because it's so much to see. Yeah, and from now on I'm going in parallel to the Isar to the north in the direction of Garching. Yeah, here on the right you can see the German Museum. So, as you can see, I'm quite speeding on my Surly. Some people have commented on this bike being very heavy, and I would probably notice the weight, especially if I had more ascents and descents to ride. And I somehow agree with those opinions. Probably the bike would be even faster with less weight, but I mean, the bike weighs 18 to 19 kilos, then there's me, then there's my luggage, so we are talking about something above 100 kilos here in total, and I think I couldn't save many kilograms on this bike, and I would have to make compromises in durability and features, and also probably spend way more money to make this bike lighter. So for example, the right Andra 40 rims, which are very sturdy and have been proven to last world trips, they are quite heavy. I could of course have built these bikes wheels with carbon rims, but they would have been way more expensive. So yeah, I thought I don't prioritize weight but durability on this bike. So that's why it's a bit more heavy. But as you can see here, that doesn't keep me from going, I would say, decently fast. And I was really enjoying the weather. So many days with only clouds and gray atmosphere the whole day until the light was gone again. So some days with sunlight were highly appreciated. I don't do this full commute often during the dark season, so maybe once every 2 weeks if there's nice weather, and also if the conditions on the road are fine. So especially if there has been salt put on the roads against snow and ice, I refrain from going by bike because I really don't want my chain and other parts to be messed with because of the salt. And I really like this part here where we then go down by the Isar. You can see it here on the right. I think in general the consideration about cyclists in Munich traffic is not perfect. So there are so many situations where um, there's a big variety in the way the cyclists have to go. So, for example, you have your dedicated cyclist's lane for some 100 meters, and then it suddenly stops, and you have to share some space with the pedestrians again, or there's nothing at all, and you have to share the road with the cars again, and then it changes again. So I feel like the cyclists are considered here, and maybe also things are changing, but oftentimes it looks like the cyclists were the party in traffic that was thought about last. Like everything else was considered, and then cyclists are somehow considered as well and put into the mix. That's just my feeling. So I know it better from other cities, I have to say. But I also don't want to be sounding too complaining. I think it's fine, and of course in the end you have to watch out for yourself as a cyclist, and also of course watch out for the others, and I'm trying to do that all the time. Be aware of the situation, be aware of that you are cycling and always might cause accidents or might be involved in accidents because others overlook you. That's something that always has to be considered. If I'm not into this and don't want to be aware, I also don't go cycling in the city, because that's part of it. It's important. Yeah, now we are heading towards Englischer Garten here. English Garden, the very, very, very big park of Munich. Still by the Isar. Still going fast because I like to go fast from time to time. But I also, for example, I try to ring my bell if I see people walking in the same direction, which I'm going to overtake in a second, to just warn them beforehand, so that they notice me and won't be surprised by this insane guy going 25 kilometers per hour on the 19 kilo bike. Right. And as you can see, it's already getting clouded again a bit. And I was a bit annoyed seeing this. I can't believe it. You're leaving Munich and suddenly it becomes cloudy. I've had this so often in autumn and summer, when I started with bright sunlight in Munich, went out to my workplace in Garching, and while going there the weather transitioned from bright sunlight to cloudy. Nah, never mind. That's how it is. So now we are going through Englischer Garten here, the northern part, which is, I think, so nice for jogging or running. If I would live close by, I would probably go running here very often. In general, I'm a big fan of sports or exercise, which is more on the cardio side. So some last sunlight, and then we are leaving Englischer Garten here, and it becomes cloudy again. I'm wondering how much faster I could do on a proper gravel bike. So maybe a commuter gravel bike. There are these bikes with sort of road bike geometry and road bike handlebars, but space for wider tires up to 40 or 42 millimeters, and then also racks and fenders, maybe even dynamo lights. So there are some of these gravel commuter road bikes, and I wonder how fast I could go on this kind of bike on average. That would be really interesting. Maybe if I had a bike like this, I would go more often, even in the winter. Yeah, now we are heading towards the interstate, or it's not the highway or the autobahn, but some larger street which leads out of the city, and now I have to go in parallel to this street for roughly 8 kilometers all the way to Garching, out of the city. And I think this is boring. This is a boring part of the commute. I cutted this part way more often for you, so that you won't be bored to tears. And I like to listen to music while going here, or maybe even a podcast, because this road here really doesn't demand a lot from you, just pedal. I just told you about how we have to be aware as cyclists of the environment, and I think here we can keep it to a minimum. So yeah, I like to listen to some house or tech house music, not techno, but yeah, a bit more lively DJ sets sometimes, or as I said, some podcasts also. But I'm not an avid podcast listener. I don't have any big preferences. So please let me know if you have heard about or are a fan of some cycling dedicated podcast. Would be interesting to know. Yes, here we are going out and just pacing, because I want to. Of course, I always want to enjoy the commute, but I also want to arrive. I would say I'm not a racer, definitely. I'm not into racing. Cycling is not about racing for me, but it's also not only about enjoying. I somehow, when I have a destination I want to go to, I also want to arrive at some point, so I'm not only enjoying the ride, I also want to pace a bit. The truth, as it's often the case, lies somewhere in the middle for me, between enjoying and racing, and maybe it depends from day to day. But again, to make this clear, for me cycling is definitely not only about racing and being the fastest possible, the lightest possible. Of course not, right? I've talked about my bike weight many times now. Yeah, now we're leaving Dirnsmanning, and this is where my GoPro just shut down. I wanted to record the whole commute for you, the whole 20 kilometers, but here, unfortunately, it shut down without me noticing it. But the only thing you're missing is Garching, and now we are directly at the little calisthenics path where I did some calisthenics. Although probably most of my blood was in my legs at this point, that didn't keep me away from doing some pull-ups and some dips, because yeah, that's the muscle exercise I like to do from time to time. Also some sit-ups and some knee benches. No, wait, what are they called? Kniebeugen in German. So that's the exercise I'm doing from time to time. Actually, I've been doing push-ups every day since I was 13. I think that's a really good way to stay a bit in form, in shape. I've really been doing it every day. At least 50 up to 100, like 20 per set or 25 per set. There's no excuses except for when I'm sick or maybe injured. I think that does something to you if you do something like this every day. And it's like 5 to 10 minutes. It's not hard to do. Yeah, but sometimes I also just like to do the dips, trying to keep my shoulders back. Yeah, and the gray weather, again, does not look good on anything. drivetrain is still glowing. I kept the lights off today, in the sun especially. Maybe I could have turned them on again when the sun was gone, but I think it was bright enough. And now heading the last 1.5 kilometers to Technical University of Munich. At this point I definitely felt that the blood has gone away from my legs to my upper body parts for the exercise or for the calisthenics workout. But it was the last mile. I was able to do it somehow. What is really nice is that there's a little Christmas market for 3 days shortly ahead of Christmas at TUM. And I think this research center here is for nothing but for research and studying. There's nothing here you can do. Maybe a little exercise outside, and there's volleyball courts, but there's no supermarket. The food offerings are limited. There are no big sports offerings by university. Here you can see it on the right. There's a bit of sports things, but there are no classes there. It's only for people who are getting together. So it's really nice to have events like the Christmas market organized by students from time to time. Yeah, and this is where I'm parking my bike. So going to leave it here, properly locked, until I come back in the evening. And then a quick shower and a long work day. Of course it was all dark when I was leaving again in the evening. Here you can see the big slides. My 2 bags, also with showering equipment. That's why I used 2. Change clothes and showering equipment. Yeah, I think the mathematics and computer science faculty looks so nice at TUM. But again, there's not much to do here except for working and studying, which is a bit unfortunate for a campus. Of course, you should do your work and your studies, but there also should be something apart from that. My stats for today was exactly 20k. Max speed around the Nockerberg in the beginning. So now we're leaving. And I have to be honest with you, after the long workday I was just not motivated to do the whole way back. So I went to Ismaning, where I'm also always going with my Brompton and where I'm starting with my Brompton. So to take the local train back to Munich and only have 6 or 7 kilometers of cycling back, but not 20 in the complete dark. As you can see here, the GoPro is doing a decent job, I would say, capturing footage in the dark. The moon was also not visible this evening because it was cloudy, of course. Yeah, but again, way better recordings than with action mode of iPhone 15 Pro in the dark. So the GoPro is definitely still the way to go if you want to record something like this. Or the iPhone normal video mode, but then I think the shaking is way stronger with the iPhone. I still feel comfortable with these lights, although it's completely dark. But I have to say the Busch & Müller IQ XS are the lower bound of what I want to use on a bike. I want to change to the new Schmidt's Original Namendynamo, so Son Ladelux in the future. This would be really nice on my Surly Bridge Club. And it can also charge my phone on tours. I'm really looking forward to this light being officially available. I've already taken a look at it at Guten Biken bike shop in Munich, a really nice bike shop I can highly recommend. Try to go there from time to time. But I think Ladelux is not ready yet, and Son has collected back all the ones they have distributed already because they had something to fix on these things. So I'm waiting for Ladelux to be available. Yeah, so we are at Ismaning, and I want to take the next S-Bahn. Little stats check again. Was not as fast as in the morning. Of course, taking the elevator. Carrying the bike down the stairs is okay, but maybe not with the big panniers. I had some technical gear with me, and so total weight was something like 27, 28 kilograms. That's the weights where I slowly don't want to take it down all the stairs anymore if not necessary. Of course, getting a bicycle ticket. It's not too expensive within MVV Munich. It's like €3.40, and I'm fine with that from time to time, although it's only for a 15 minutes ride. Yeah, I really love this bike. It was so much fun, this tour to Garching in the morning and now back in the dark. The big tires are so comfortable to ride, and they are fast rolling, and I love this little ball in my front axle, the Son 28 dynamo hub. It works fine, it looks gorgeous in my opinion. It's the most beautiful part on the bike. And the ton walls with the whipped butter paint go along so well, I think. Black tires with black sidewalls would make this bike a bit too dark. These ton walls give it a warmer tone in my opinion. So, fortunately at this time of the day, around 8 p.m, the train was already quite empty. So always watch out for your bike in the train, that it will not fall. I always make sure the kickstand goes to the inner side of the train, so that the bike will not fall over when the train is shaking. And then leaving in Rosenheimer Platz, closest to Obergiesing, my home district. Looking for the elevator again, because here we have really long escalators, but for the last level I will take the escalator for a moment. Please don't snitch on me, I know it's forbidden, but I watch out that there's nobody in front and behind me. And then doing the last 1.5 kilometers to go home. Again, all in the dark. But the GoPro does a decent job in my opinion. Of course it's a bit shaky. The action mode or shaking correction of the GoPro doesn't work that well in the dark, but I think it's still okay. So, again, at this point I want to thank you for watching, and please like this video if you have liked it. Please comment if you want to share some thoughts about what I said. Please subscribe if you want to stay up to date and also support my channel. And otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.